Comey, the 21st century's Benedict Arnold. When I was a child, history was my favorite subject. So much so that I even took enough elective history classes at the collegiate level, even though my major was in systems networking, security-based administration. Now I've recently seen the docudrama Turn about General Washington's spies in the Revolutionary War. It is well worth the time to binge watch, if you have a way to do so, which I bet you can figure out. It helped me appreciate what America was like before it became the beacon of freedom, and I hope that I've been blessed and privileged to call home for my entire lifetime. I can virtually guarantee that everyone will learn something about the origin of the country they either knew or had forgotten as some obscure footnote of history. For a quick example, I clearly remembered that General Benedict Arnold was widely considered the most notorious traitor in U.S. history, but I couldn't remember specifically what he had done to betray General Washington in the Continental Army. He negotiated to sell a map of our defense at West Point to Spymaster Major John Andre of the British Army. Now this all makes for a nice segue to James Comey, the former FBI director and one of the lead conspirators in the plot to overthrow the presidency of Donald J. Trump. At a minimum, James Comey is guilty of sedition. If there was a crime like perjury for repeatedly lying through the mainstream media and to the American people about a criminal conspiracy to overthrow our elected government, Comey would probably get locked in a cell for the rest of his natural, miserable life. But no, instead, this disgraceful excuse for a human being has thus far been rewarded for his treachery with a multi-million-dollar book deal, and the irony of it all, it was on loyalty. I mean, you gotta be kidding me. Unbelievable, unacceptable, pronounced commie. And if that isn't bad enough, the Washington Post just published one of the most disgusting opinion pieces in recent memory, authored by this disgraceful excuse for a former FBI director, in which he whines about being the target of Donald J. Trump's wrath while making absurd and audacious claims, such as foreign leaders laugh at him and throw his letters in the trash. Yes, we've all seen the supposed video of Macron and Trudeau laughing and making jokes at Trump's expense. Serious question, who cares what Macron and Trudeau think? For a more serious question, how does James Comey know what foreign leaders do with letters they receive from Donald Trump? Or is he making another spectacular but totally unsubstantiated claim like he's done for 2 years? As he did when he signed the 3 applications for the FISA warrants to spy on the Trump campaign advisor and CIA operative, Carter Page. What if James Comey isn't blowing smoke out of his butt, as my father used to say, but he is actually confessing to treason? Is there any other way to describe this former government official's apparently claiming to have intimate knowledge of how foreign leaders of foreign governments have responded to official communications from President Donald Trump? James Comey's real problem is that he isn't half as smart as he thinks he is. The only real reason for writing this drivel disguised as a Washington Post op-ed piece is what will prove to be a futile attempt to get out in front of the impending Durham report coming out at some point here in early 2020, and what will almost surely be a future indictment for his role in the conspiracy to undermine and overthrow a duly elected POTUS, or the presidency of Donald J. Trump. The very next sentence in this self-serving attack on President Trump proves that James Comey isn't nearly as smart as he thinks he is, because he inadvertently reveals the hypocrisy of Nancy Pelosi when he writes it. American leaders clap back at him, offering condescending prayers for his personal well-being. Emphasis added. Now question, has anybody else other than Nancy Pelosi been bragging about praying for Donald Trump? To which American leader could Comey possibly have been referring to except Nancy Pelosi, who has made a point of frequently saying she's been praying for Trump while working to impeach him. Next, Comey writes, the president's trusted advisors all appear to talk about him behind his back and treat him like a child. What, you mean just as you've done, Big Jimbo? In all fairness, the op-ed mostly reads like that of the whining of a petulant child, not a modern-day reincarnation of Reinhold Neubar. It didn't inspire me to write a reply until I read this particular paragraph. I don't mean to suggest Trump is not dangerous. The horrific betrayal of allies in northern Syria demonstrates that an impetuous and immoral leader can do great harm, even in shrunken form. And if he succeeds in redefining our nation's core values so that extorting foreign governments to aid in one's election is consistent with that of oath of office, he will have done lasting damage to this nation, the harm our founders worried about most. Now, our founding fathers did not create the FBI, but James Comey is exactly what they feared the most: the complete corruption of our government from within. I did a video last week based on a former FBI agent, Frank Watt, and he explains that the 17 errors in the FISA application Comey signed have only two possible explanations. Senior leadership at the FBI were abject failures at tasks they were hired to perform, a special hand-picked team, as Comey puts it. A theory former Special Agent Watt rejects as implausible, that this could have been just a failure, or they were knowingly and deliberately operating outside the law to one degree or another. The last sentence probably explains why John Durham is working with a grand jury. It really doesn't and won't matter how far out in front of the indictment you get, Mr. Comey. You won't be able to spin a criminal conviction as a political retribution. As Comey is winding down his pathetic defense, he writes, "It may be justly suspected that Trump's object is to throw things into confusion so that he may ride the storm and direct the whirlwind." And then that reminded me, I've heard that before, I've used that before, from Bush, in videos, in the past.
When we see that wounded traveler on the road to Jericho, we will not pass to the other side. We know the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong. Do you not think an angel rides in the whirlwind and directs this storm? This work continues. The story goes on, and an angel still rides in the whirlwind and directs this storm. God bless you all, and God bless America. The peaceful transfer of authority is rare in history. As I begin, with a simple oath, we affirm old traditions and make new beginnings. The American story, a story of flawed and fallible people. Many in our country do not know the pain of poverty. but we can listen to those who do. If we permit our economy to drift and decline, the vulnerable will suffer most. We must follow no other course. Every child must be taught these principles. Every citizen must uphold them. Now it is a seed upon the wind, taking root in many nations. In a time of peace, the stakes of our debates appear small, but the stakes for America are never small. The enemies of liberty in our country should make no mistake. Our national courage has been clear in times of depression and war, when defeating common dangers defined our common good. We will confront weapons of mass destruction. We will build our defenses beyond challenge, lest weakness invite challenge.
James Comey, the same guy who fancies himself worthy of comparison to the theologian created with writing of the Serenity Prayer, ought to know the more famous words, Hosea 8:7, which reads, "They sow the wind and reap the whirlwind." The next line is even more apropos. "The stalk has no head, it will produce no flower. Were it to yield grain, foreigners would swallow it up." Bottom line, James Comey has done incalculable harm to our country in his zeal to damage the presidency of Donald Trump, and now is in a desperate but ultimate futile attempt to protect his own reputation. That's right, his reputation. He's very lucky that Donald Trump is no George Washington, because Washington would have hung Benedict Arnold if he'd only been able to catch him. Thanks for joining me. I'm Michael. This is a Patriot Hour. God bless, Godspeed to each and every one of you worldwide. Where we go one, we go all. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to this channel. Hit the notification bell to work with you in your device to alert you for all videos. Think about joining, becoming a member. It's right next to the subscribe button, the join button. Welcome to the Patriot Hour family. We'll see you back here on the next update video.